Hello, and welcome to part one of a three-part series from vcfo. Today we're talking about reactivating your recruiting strategies using data. And at vcfo, we make companies stronger through diagnosis and delivery of game-changing resources. And we'll talk more about that later. In the meantime, we're going to wait just a minute or two for people to log in. There's a lot of you coming in, so we'll be back in a sec. Next slide. My name is Paul Hagerty. Nice to see you all. And I have about 20 years experience in the HR world. I've been involved in startups, well-established companies, big and small, and have tried my hand at just about every piece of HR that you can think of, but I'm still learning and glad you're here. My partner, Karli.
Hi, everybody. My name is Karli Osgoodby. I, too, am a senior HR consultant for vcfo. I am in the Denver market. I come to you with over a decade of experience in human resources, working in different industries throughout my career, being staffing, private equity, startup, and most recently, healthcare. Our next slide, we're going to talk to you about our company very briefly for those of you who are new to the vcfo before we jump right into our recruitment strategies we're going to talk to you about today.
And you can read this information here and it will be provided later, but vcfo really provides a suite of services: finance, HR, recruiting. We do all of those things really well in each of those three areas. We are very happy that you're here. We've been around for about 25 years and we plan to stick around for about another 125.
Right. So who are we? We are your CFOs, your controllers, and human resource directors. What do we do? Fractional work, project work, interim work, and mentoring services. What are we? We're a professional services company, a B2B model. And why do we do it? To make companies stronger. Next slide, please.
All right, diving in for today, what we're going to look at is recruiting strategies, and there are several, there's many, but we have looked at and decided for today that the most successful or effective ones are when you promote from within your own organization, and when you use a referral program to access people through your own organization. Very internal programs that can be very successful. We'll look at what it is, what supports it, how to measure it in each of these categories. Next slide. And our first strategy is promote from within. We're going to begin with a poll. What percentage of workers cite lack of career opportunity as the key factor that makes them consider leaving their organization? What do you think the answer is to that? And then we'll get the results. Please enter your answer in the poll. Next slide. The answer, and the majority of you decided that it was 29%. Very good, but that's a big number when you think about it. Next slide. Did you know one study found the cost of recruiting and training a middle manager can cost between 6 and 9 months of that candidate's salary? Or employees that make 6 figures or more can often cost twice their annual salary to recruit. And we mentioned from the poll, and you knew that 29% of workers cite lack of career opportunity as a key factor that makes them think about leaving.
Right. And that is big, big money. And there's a way that we can cut that cost. Many openings can be filled by the talent within your organization. And if you're looking at Paul and I, after I make that comment, thinking that we're crazy, our response would be, you can promote from within when you're planning for it. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Next slide, please.
So promoting from within sounds simple, but what it is making career movement within the company accessible and available to all your employees who desire it. There may be some who don't, and that's fine. Make them the pro enroll and they can mentor other people. But promoting from within provides opportunity, and opportunity brings about happy people, and happy people equals higher retention. So promoting from within benefits in those ways. Also, in these, a high success rate, greater engagement within your organization, a much faster hiring process, and it's less expensive.
Yeah, and just expanding on that, what we mean by a high success rate, generally speaking, they're more successful in the role than the outside hire at a much more rapid pace because they understand already how the organization operates. This internal person already has that foundation and knowledge of the organization, so they can hit the ground running faster than an external applicant who doesn't have that internal knowledge already. And then what we mean with greater engagement with the organization, when employees get promotion opportunities, it allows them to see the future, which enhances their commitment to the strategic goals set by the organization, which in turn positively impacts their productivity. And like Paul mentioned, that graphic on the slide, opportunity equals happy people and equals higher retention.
And it may seem obvious, but the hiring process is faster. We're taking many steps out because we're asking our people to be aware of who wants to go when, who wants to go where, and we're tracking that, and we're promoting from within versus having to go outside. So it takes some of the steps and time out of the process. We can fill those openings much more quickly, and it is less expensive. Some of the things I just mentioned, you will not have to pay the cost for because you're doing sort of an internal recruiting, and you save all the money that you would spend otherwise going outside. I know it seems obvious, but it's true. Next slide. The key aspects of promoting from within, as we see it, is you need to have a strong performance management process in place, one that everybody's committed to, uses, and measures performance accurately. To underpin that, you also want to have a talent development program that everybody's aware of and that they take advantage of, and that you market through your own company so that you can build your talent, which will lead to, these two lead to the third, which is a strong succession planning program where you know who's ready, you know when they're ready, and you know what the next step is in their career. So hopefully it's a promotion.
Right. And we're not going to define, these three pillars for you today, but, our point is that these three pillars support a successful promote from within program. And why? Performance management. How would you know somebody's ready for a promotion opportunity if you as the hiring manager don't have an accurate pulse on that employee's performance, what their strengths are, what they can do to continue to develop and be ready for that next growth opportunity? Taking it the next step forward with the talent development, as Paul mentioned, to grow their skills in preparation for that next role, what are you offering to your employees to show you that they're ready for that next role? And then succession planning is, coming together as the leadership of that team to determine when that next opening happens, is there internal talent that can fill that next promotion opportunity? So as leaders, as executives of your organization, I challenge you to think every time that there's a position open in your organization, can somebody internally fill this role? Because remember that 29% statistic from the poll we just did. That's how many say they'll leave because they don't have that career opportunity that they long for. So now they're seeing that there are development opportunities and a career path to follow. So hopefully that percentage is not as high in your organization when you are thinking every time for a position, is there somebody internal that can fill it? Next slide, please.
All right. Some of the measures of a successful promoting from within program that we looked at and found useful are to keep track of things, keep track of the internal promotions, and maybe take a look back and see what your success rate is there so that you can track the new internal promotions. At the same time, keep track of your outside hires. I think the ATS system is going to do that for you. Your successful internal promotions, how did we do when we put that person in the role that they wanted and we thought they were ready for? Were there unsuccessful internal promotions? That's a metric we need to pay attention to and try to uncover why. And then the unsuccessful outside hires. Who did we hire? How did we hire them? and what can we learn from that? Then wrap it all up into the average retention rate of those promoted employees. How long are they staying? How quickly are they moving through the next position based on the promote from within process?
And these metrics are very telling. If you haven't been capturing this data yet, I strongly encourage you to start doing so. And if you are already, what percentage are you at? How can you increase it? We know the higher percentage of successful internal promotions will aid that retention, engagement, and overall productivity. So how do we really maximize that percentage and get it to as high as we possibly can? Next slide, please.
Okay, here we are. Okay, some pro tips for this process is to have that solid performance program, that solid talent program, and a solid succession planning program in place. Use them effectively. Next is to make sure that you're providing ongoing communication and feedback, both to the managers who are promoting people and to the people who are being promoted, and also communicating out to the organization that this is your philosophy and your practice. And then you want to celebrate successes. That is going to resonate throughout the organization as well. Your employees are going to hear about their friends being promoted, or they're going to tell their friends about being promoted. Celebrate is very important.
I completely agree. And just expanding on that, it's great and free employer branding. If that message is being communicated out there and a new hire hears that, they could sit in their chair and think, wow, if that happened to my peer, that could happen to me. Next slide, please. So strategy number 2 is employee referral programs. So just like we started with the first strategy, we did a poll. So we're starting this one with a poll as well. Employee referrals have been shown to result in which of the following? The answer is D, all of the above. Next slide, please.
So a referral program, our second strategy, is a company-sponsored program that rewards employees who refer qualified candidates for employment. There are several benefits. 4 key benefits we see are a faster to hire process, a better conversion rate, a reduced cost, and an improved quality of hire.
Right. Expanding on the benefits on faster to hire, it's been shown that referred candidates are 55% faster to hire than those sourced through job portals. And why would that be? You know, I think it has to do with if somebody's being referred to the organization, they're aware of the job that's coming open and are eager and ready to apply to it because they believe that they will match that skill set of the organization. That internal person that told them about that opportunity, you know, could have excited them about it, where they are really eager to apply. They're going through that process faster at a more rapid pace because they're in the loop about what's coming about versus a normal external job candidate who just sees a posting and no context behind it. What we mean by the better conversion rate, referred candidates have a higher percentage of conversion, meaning going from offer extended to offer accepted. So that converting from them accepting into the role, that conversion rate is higher. And I think it plays into what I talked about just earlier about the faster to hire. There's a much tighter connection with the candidate and the person internal to the organization who's referring them versus somebody who just applied on an external job board. And then Paul's going to speak about the last 2 benefits.
Thanks, Carly. When we talk about reduced cost, even if you have a very generous referral program, the research has showed us that you can save a minimum of $3,000 per hire by using a referral program. So it could be more, but that's significant too. You're eliminating some of the outside processes that we talked about in the Promote from Within program. And then improved quality of hire, that is typically shown to be true for several reasons. One is that the person that you're hiring is coming in through a referral from somebody that you trust and respect and employ, and that person is going to be supportive of this person they refer and is going to have a connection to that person. is going to be able to tell them all about your organization prior to their decision to come on board. So the quality of hire will be better and stronger. Next slide.
And then some key aspects of the referral program. So what type of reward are you giving your employees who are participating in a referral program? It could either be monetary and simply put cash in the employee's pocket. This is the most popular type of reward and the most influential in driving referral percentages for your employees to participate. And what we mean by other, that could be a gift card, company swag, letting them park in a designated parking spot, an extra vacation or time off day. If the organization chooses to reward in a non-cash option. What we say is that whatever is affordable and still incentivizes your employees to participate is an acceptable type of reward to offer to your employees. I will tell you that of the organizations who offer referral programs, 92% of them offer cash incentives, so that monetary reward, and cash rewards of $500 being the most common monetary reward offered. And now Paul's going to touch on the timing of rewards.
Okay, for timing of the reward, we have a couple of ways to go. One is upfront and one is over time. About 50% of those that were surveyed are paying the reward in the first 3 months, and then it goes up to 92% are paying within the first 6 months. And when we talk about upfront versus over time, it may be that you decide that you're going to pay your referrer upfront once the person is hired. And the other option over time is paying part of that to your person when the referee is brought on board, and then waiting a period of, maybe it's a 90-day introductory period where the payout would be made at that time based on a successful hire. We don't recommend that you go beyond 6 months. That tends to leave a bad taste in the referrer's mouth, and to drag it out and make it painful is not going to work well for anyone. So you have options. It's really up to you to decide how you want to pay it and when. Next slide.
So some metrics associated with employee referral programs. You want to look at the overall number of referrals received. How engaged is your workforce in bringing qualified candidates to your organization? Then looking at how many of those referrals were actually hired into the roles that they were referred into. The number of referrals retained for a period of 2+ years. Our research shows that on average, referred employees stay for a period longer of 4 years. So I'd be curious to know how your organization, matches that statistic of your referred associates. And then looking at that average tenure of referred associates. And then Paul's going to talk about these next 2 bullets.
Thank you. When we talk about the acquisition cost, we're talking about the cost of bringing somebody into the organization. And you want to pay attention to what you're paying out, what associated costs are within the referral program. You are avoiding costs, so we want to make sure that we're aware of what we had spent in the past using different processes like job boards or maybe a search firm. So the acquisition cost is less, but you want to monitor it. And then the associated cost of the referral program, that refers to what you decide is going to be the reward, cash, vacation day, you name it. That's up to you to decide. Next slide.
So some pro tips about a successful employee referral program. You want to make it quick and painless for your associates to participate. If it's too drawn out or too complicated or too manual for them to refer candidates, that could be demotivating for your staff and then decrease the number of referrals you could get in your organization. Taking the pro tip number 2, timeliness of payouts. Paul mentioned slide. You want to make sure your payouts are timely because you want to still have that motivation factor for the employees who did refer an outside candidate. If you wait longer than 6 months to pay them their referral bonus for bringing somebody in, that could be seen as demotivating to the employee. And maybe they would think in the future not to refer somebody because it took so long to get the first referral bonus for that first hire that they ended up converting to a full-time employee.
Third bullet about integrating data into your applicant tracking system and your payroll systems. When you do this, this is going to make sure that all of that tracking we talked about is going to be easier, accessible, and historical. So we're going to make sure that if you can integrate the data into your systems. Most are pretty easy to integrate. And then the fourth bullet, talking about manager being accountable to the success of the referee after they're hired and not the referrer. Well, the referrer really has done the job we've asked them to do by bringing a quality person on board, high hopes and all of that. But then when they're handed off and the manager takes over as the trainer and onboarder, that's where it really changes hands. The manager is now accountable for that successful hire, and the referrer will not be expected to guarantee the success of someone. They're doing the best to find the right person. It's up to the manager to take it to the next step. Next slide. In summary, we've talked about a couple of different things here. Again, these are two strategies that we found in our study to be the most effective and successful. Promoting from within, we talked about performance, talent, and succession planning programs, how to measure. And then under referral, same thing, looking at the timing of the payouts, that's important. The types of rewards, it's the sky's the limit there, and the associated metrics to make sure that you're on track and successful. Next slide.
So here are some of the sources that we pulled from today when developing the content for this webinar. This will be shared with the participant group if you'd like to review those articles we pulled from in more detail. Next slide, please.
Well, we've come to the close of step one, and now we have two more coming up. We hope that you enjoyed this and will come to see us on Wednesday, August 31st. For our retention strategy webinar, and that'll be followed by the third part of the puzzle, total compensation package, and that'll be September 28th, right here on screen. Next slide.
Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate you joining us over the lunch hour so we can talk about two highly effective recruiting strategies. We hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yes, thank you so much. And you can contact us at the information below.